universe itself was created in an enormous explosion some 13.7 billion years ago. Before that explosion, there was no time, no space, no energy, and no matter. Right there in that first instant, time began. And space? Well, there was so much pure energy all of a sudden that space itself couldn't stand it. So from just about nothing, space zoomed faster than thought to an enormous size. Good thing too, because gravity was about to squeeze that baby universe back into the nothingness it came from. That first zoom happened a whole lot faster than the speed of light and is called inflation. Since then, the universe has expanded at more of a pedestrian speed of light. This is Earth 4 billion years ago. There was no oxygen in the air. Molten lava flowed into an already poisonous sea. Hard to imagine, but this harsh environment was perfect for nurturing a miracle. Rain washed the necessary chemicals from the air, and lightning and ultraviolet radiation cooked these chemicals into an organic soup. And somehow, when the smoke cleared, there was something new, something amazing. A very, very special molecule with a graceful spiral shape. And it had talent. It could make copies of itself faster than it could be destroyed. This was the origin of life on Earth. And when this molecule learned to protect itself inside cell walls, life began to transform the planet. 800 million years ago, the first multicellular organisms began to appear. For a while, multicellular animals just meant collections of identical cells. But gradually, these colonies began to have cells that were specialized for different purposes. The first multicellular animals that had specialized cells were sponges. Some of the cells pumped water, and some filtered out tiny bits of food. 600 million years ago, an ancient worm was the first animal to develop a centralized nervous system. It had nerve cells that ran the length of its body, and a concentration of these cells at one end formed the first primitive brain. In fact, this was the first animal with a head, and light-sensitive cells in that head were the world's first eyes. It could recognize both the direction and intensity of light. Since it could both see and move, this worm interacted with the world in a very different way. 400 million years ago, much of the Earth was already covered in green. Plants had colonized fresh waters and spread onto land. Once they were established, animals soon followed. Centipedes were among the first land creatures. They developed simple lungs and skin that retained vital water. While the invertebrates were the first animals ashore, others were not far behind. Fish penetrated weed-choked lagoons. Using limb-like fins, they pushed their way through the tangle to stalk their prey. Fins became more and more like legs. The vertebrates were on the verge of a breakthrough. $270 million years ago, it is hot, and these ancient reptiles need plenty of water. Spending time at the river makes the herds nervous. They know this is a great place for an ambush. Fortunately, this top predator is not hunting. She has recently eaten and also has come to the river to drink. She is 18 feet long and has an armored back. She needs a huge amount of food and therefore needs to defend a very large territory. The only creature on the planet she fears is another one of her kind. Further down the river is one of the period's most interesting animals. This is a connecting link between the reptiles and the mammals. As he runs, his backbone moves from side to side like a reptile's, but he has hair and lives in a burrow like a mammal. Deep inside, his mate sleeps on a bed of lichen. The bond between them is strong, and they pair for life. Like all land reptiles, they lay eggs, but after hatching, their young are very dependent and spend most of their months feeding from special milk glands on their mother's stomach. This little mammal is a scavenger. She is a marsupial and specializes in raiding abandoned dinosaur nests. This evening, she thinks she is in luck. Unfortunately, the smell of food has blinded her to the danger.